Casting with Ceri Jones.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's podcast. This podcast is a little bit different to all the others, as I've invested in some gear so I can do some recordings outdoors. And over the next couple of months I'll be meeting guests and having a chat with them on the lakeside, the riverside, or actually drifting on a boat. So join me in this week's episode as I fish my local water, the fish and dries at Llyn Fawr reservoir. I've only just got here, and I've come to the air. There's nothing rising whatsoever, and it's calm. A little bit of a ripple far out, and now and again you get a breeze, which you can reach the breeze with a good cast. I'm fishing at the inlet. We've had a lot of rain the last couple of days, and I'm speaking to an angler there now by the car, and he said it's risen 4 foot in the last few days, which is good really, even though the lake normally fishes better when the level is down. But the thing is, the last few days with the rain, it would have cooled the water down, and there's a little bit of water still coming in, trickling in on the inlet. So it's the inlet which I've come to, and it's always a good spot in any place, any still water really, an inlet. There's fresh water coming in, and it proved to be the case because I've set up with a 6-weight line, and there's a weight forward 6. Oh yes, I don't know if I could hear that. The fish just come for me and I missed it on the dries. Just about to tell you that I've set up with the Llyn 444, weight forward 6 floater, and with 2 dries. I've got a hopper. No, I haven't. I've got a detached body daddy, and I've got a black CDC shuttlecock, both size 10s. And what I found with the Llyn is, more than any other water actually, you don't have to see fish rising to catch them on dries. Because it's quite a barren lake, you don't get a lot of fly life, I gotta say. And it's a typical hill reservoir, mountain reservoir. It's quite stony. There are weed beds in certain areas on the grass bank, and beside me now where I'm standing by the inlet. But most of the time, it's not a great deal of fly life. You do get the usual buzzer hatches, but most of the time, it's actually terrestrials that come up to take. So the fish are always on the lookout, even if there's nothing rising, no flies in the water. These fish will come up for dries. And I've only been here 5 minutes now, and I've risen 2. Well, I struck into that last one there now. And so I'll stay in this area now a little bit longer. And what I did as well, which is always handy to do on most reservoirs really, like this lake, it's almost like a triangle, you could say. Basically, you've got a dam wall, which obviously goes quite deep, quite close in. You've got the steep bank, the mountain side, where you don't have to cast far. And then where I am now, on the grass bank. And you can wade out quite a bit on the grass bank. But it's always worth casting off the bank first before you wade in, because there will be fish close in. So what I've done now, I've had a few casts, I've moved a couple of fish. So these fish now, and I'm only short line instead of 15 yards. So these fish now will have moved out just that little bit more. So I will just wade in a little bit more and see if there's fresh fish just that little bit further out. Hi Terry.
Right.
Any good down there?
They were earlier on. One of them got a 2 on a buzzer.
Was there?
Quiet as hell now.
I've just missed 2 now on the dries.
It's gone quiet as hell now. You're on a touch for about an hour. Yeah, no, they might come back on now.
Hopefully. Nice conditions, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't been up for ages, probably about 6 weeks I'd say.
I know, I thought I can see you about.
Yeah. I did come one night late. I had 2 on dries on this grass bank before it went flat calm and the midges got the better of me.
Get into it, huh?
Yeah.
I had 1 or 2 up there. But all of a sudden, when I got there,
Is it?
I had to go to wet place there now. That's how I got on now. Oh well, I'm starving, yeah.
Are you? Well, funny enough, I called into Spa on the way up, I just had a sandwich. I can't fish if I'm hungry.
I know. I've got a poo shot then, have you?
No.
Thinking about it. I have to bring a bag of grub with you, leave it at the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
See you, car.
Ta-ra, ta.
Bye-bye.
Well, there were 2 anglers here when I arrived. One guy was going when I got here, and Ceri, one of the members, he's just left now. And so I've got the lake to myself now. Regarding the lake itself, there's a lot of history to this place. It's, well, start with it, it's 25 acres, and it doesn't really fish like the usual reservoir. It's more like a big still water. I found the techniques were, better than the pulling of traditional wets as in a lot of reservoirs. But the steep bank is good with the wets, without no doubts. You're fishing short lining, like a typical upland hill lake, fishing the sides, cast and walk with the wets. The fish really good. The bibios, the hyloguints, that sort of thing would work well. It does work well, but over the years, the steep bank, when the water's up like it is now, it's unfishable. You can't really fish the steep bank simply because now there are willows which have taken over. And the club, we've tried to cut down as much as we can, but it's an uphill task. But hopefully we'll get on top of it. But it's not the end of the world, because when the water normally drops in the summer, it's quite easy to fish the steep side, the steep bank. But yeah, back to the history of the lake. It goes back a long way. I mean, like back to the Iron Age. Actually, there was a lake here then, not the size it is now. They've increased it, obviously. I'm not sure the date. Probably about 100 years ago, I think they built the dam to make it bigger. But when they were making it bigger, when they were digging here and excavating it, oh, I got one. Yeah. Fish come up and took the dry then. It's a lovely fish too, actually. Little gentle take that was then. Really gentle. Oh, I left my net on the bank. Taking the daddy on a dropper. Wind in the slack. Ooh, nice fish too. All of 2.5, 3 pound, I'd say. I'll get back to the story with history in a minute. I'll just walk back slowly to get my net. Right, got my net though. Oh, it's a lovely fish. The fish here are bred and brought on in the Club Fish Farm, which is based in Tynnewydd in Treherb at the top of the valley. And I gotta say, I've fished a lot of places, club waters. This has to be one of the oh yes, he's bigger than £3, more £4 I'd say. I just paused, took a few pictures and released the fish now. I would say he's a good £4.5, £5. And what you find is when you're fishing dries and you hook a fish, it's so hard if you don't treat them right, they get them to float again. And so you got the slime of the fish on them. You know, you gotta either keep casting it to dry the fly out, or what I've got, what I tend to do, I use what's called Restore. It's like a crystal powder which soaks up all the moisture and the slime. Give her another blow to dry it, and then put mucilin on. I say mucilin, all my life I've used mucilin for my dries. You can use gink, but I've never had any trouble with mucilin. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm putting the mucilin back on. In a few casts now, we'll get that powder off and mucilin to come off. Once they come off, to clear, and then we'd away it again. But what I'm going to do now, as I did before, I put the net on my back, so now I don't have to worry. So the breeze is picking up lovely. I say breeze picking up lovely because the last time I was here, in the evening, the wind drops. So often the case, which is nice. But because this place is surrounded by forestry, you tend to get a lot of midges. And when it's calm, Jesus, it's a nightmare. I'll tell a little story actually. I was here one day, many years ago, and we tried everything to stop the midges biting, you know. And there was a guy who was with me then, Mike Mealin, school teacher. He had an idea, because we'd been fishing a couple of nights previous and were eaten alive, of wearing a pair of women's tights on his head. He looked like a bank robber, which is all well and good. And he was saying, it's great, you know, the midges, fair play, he wouldn't bite through the tights. But the thing was, he also had hay fever, which wasn't a great combination, because when he sneezed, you can imagine, it looked like his face exploded. But anyway, back to the history of this place. If you go to the museum in Cardiff, St Fagans, some fish starting to move now out in the ripple. I just cast to one fish. Fish just rose to the side of me, casting distance. There was a hint of a breeze, perfect conditions. No, didn't want to know. Yeah, and what you've got on display in the museum is called the Llyn Fawr hoard. And it's a big cauldron, and it goes back to the Iron Age. And in the cauldron was axe heads and spear heads and a few other bits and pieces from that era. And they found it while they were digging and making this lake. So it would have been used as a ritual, an offering to the gods. So it's nice to fish amongst some history like that. And I gotta say, now it's getting dark now. It's 8:30, and it's just creeping the light. And it goes darker here sooner than most waters because the sun goes down behind this ridge, the rock face. And oh, there's fish moving out in front of me now. And it's funny, I was talking to Ceri as he left, the other angler was here. He said earlier on they were feeding on buzzers, but it went quiet, he said. So it's obviously they went quiet. As often the case, there's a lull before the rise again. So now the light is going and the fish are starting to feed again. So hopefully you'll get a fish or two again now. Definitely subsurface they are. They're not typical. They're not taking terrestrials as such. They're taking these buzzers coming off, the few buzzers which there are, because they're quite dimpling. You just make them out against the... Oh, the thing is, they're very small dimples. It's like the fish I took just now. You wouldn't be able to tell the size of the fish from the dimple until I struck. You know, and he's like 4.5 pounds. Oh, fish just come up for my flies then. So my flies probably are sitting a bit high in the water. But then I think because of the scarcity of fly life around, they're not going to be too fussy. So these fish which are up looking, feeding, you know, either the daddy or the shuttlecock will take these fish. And actually they're quite close in now, the ones which are feeding. You can't beat dry fly fishing. It's visual. Seeing fish rise, covering them. I'm probably only covering, the water I'm probably fishing is only about 8 to 10 foot, 15 yards out. And but going back to, as I said, why it goes darker quick here, it's because the sun goes down over the ridge. And on the ridge, I'm looking up now as I'm talking. I can't see them, but there are at least 1 or 2 pairs of peregrines. And when I got here, just as I was tackling up, I could hear them screeching. Well, I saw one soaring high above, you know. And so that's nice to see. Now the leader material I'm using, it's going to surprise a few of you, I suppose, because everyone's fishing fluorocarbon, and I have up till this year. And then one day when I was up here on the lake, I happened to forget my bag, and I just had my waistcoat with me. I didn't have any leader, and I had some, but it wasn't what I wanted. So one of the guys here, he said, did I want some of his? So, and he was Maxima green. And you know what? I've ordered a batch of it now, and I'm fishing it all the time. And I'm fishing Maxima green. And the reason I'm doing it as well, I'm still catching, not fishing fluorocarbon. And it takes a lot better, far better, at light breaking strain. You know, when you're fishing like 6 pound fluorocarbon or 5 pound fluorocarbon, it doesn't take a knot well at all when you're fishing droppers. And a good thing, like these fish here now, you know, a 4 or 5 pound fish, taking these dries, there's a better chance of them sticking and staying on. So I'm happy fishing them anyway. And while I'm talking now, the rise which I thought was coming on, there was a good few fish started to move. They've switched off. I might go for a short walk up the grass bank. There's an area called the pier. which is deep water in the corner. But the grass is always greener, isn't it? I mean, like, there's fish here, I've seen fish here, so I don't think they've gone anywhere. It's just that they probably just switched off for a bit, and hopefully we can stick at it and catch a few more. Something nice about evening time, especially in night time, wading up to your waist on a reservoir, and you've got a breeze behind you or slightly to the side, and you're casting out, especially when you've got the lake to yourself. The good thing is about fishing this inlet, even though this is a predominantly rainbow trout lake, which is stocked with fish brought on by the fish farm, there are some wild browns in here, and I've never had too many of them, I gotta say, over the years I fished it. But this spot where I'm fishing now, the inlet, is as good a place as any. I don't know if you can hear that peregrine there now. It's a very peaceful place, this. The trick with dries is as well, what I have found. Some people cast them out, when you're fishing a bank that is, and they'll just stay there. Leave the dries there and leave them there for long periods. I don't particularly find that's the best way you're doing it. I prefer to cast out with dries, because usually a fish will take dries more often than not. Within a few seconds it's on the surface. So I like to cast often, maybe leave it about, I don't know, 15-30 seconds the most. Lift off and cast again. I'm tempted to move. I've risen a few, pricked a few, had one. So maybe they have moved out or just gone off the boil. I just realised I'm here now. What I find with these fish, mind, you like your typical stockfish. You know, within a couple of days, it can be hard to catch, which I love. They're more challenged then, you know. And there will be lots of fish caught when they stock, like most waters, you know. There's more anglers here, and so it's only the wiser fish which are left then. And more people fish, catch and release these days, which makes the fish which are in here that much finicky and cagey, harder to catch, which is great. I like a challenge. When I go fishing for even a few hours, I much prefer to work for 2 fish, maybe. Work for 1 or 2 fish. And usually they are the better fish. Like I said, it's mainly it's rainbows which are stocked. But over the years, they do stock the occasional blue. And I had one, I think it was 2 years ago. I'll put the picture up actually on this podcast, on the story notes. It was one of the finest blues I've ever had. And he was almost like a tuna. Absolutely solid, bright blue, and amazing tail. Right, I think as the light is going, I am going to move from here now. Yep, yeah, time to move. I'm going to go just down the bank and work my way down the shore. Nice time of year to fish this. There's a lot of heather on the banks and a lot of foxgloves. It's a lovely colour, the purple. Right, I'm covering new water here now. Oh, yep. Whoa. Oh, another great fish. That fish was about 10 yards out. I could see the bottom, see the flash. It's nice when a plan comes together, isn't it? I think that's what it was. Those fish are weedy where I was. And it's a good thing I moved. And I'll probably, even after I've had this fish, a couple of casts here, I'll move down the bank. For those who wants to come here, this grass bank, you know, it's shallow. You can wade out 10, 15 yards, not a bother. Just walk the sides. And I think especially in the evening, the fish come in the evening, it doesn't get fished heavily in the evening at all, you know. It's more of a day lake, day water. Good fish. This one's about £2 now. Got my net. This one again has taken the little daddy. They sit lovely on the water. Beautiful colour on these fish. Oh, yeah. Right. Oh, hey, stay still, boy. Stunning colours. Absolutely stunning colours on it. The hook just fell out. No need to actually unhook him. Whoa, lively fella. Get a little video of this fella going back. Nice. Right, so that one's away. What we need to do now, try this fly again. Be back in action. Give another few casts here before I move down. It's a bit of redness, colour in the sky now. And the clouds are starting to move quite fast actually. Cast a few times now. I saw one fish rise in this area. And I just got a feeling now because they're so sensitive, these fish. They're coming in at night. And any disturbance, they'll get spooked. And obviously, that last fish now was thrashing away. So the good thing about this place for me is it's only half hour away from the house. So it's nice to just come out. I'm so lucky to be able to come out just for an hour or two even. Sometimes I'll come up here and if there's other guys here, anglers here, just sit down and chat. Maybe don't fish for like 10 minutes or so. Like now I've only fished probably, I don't know, an hour. That's some great sport. Had 2 fish, missed a few fish, seen fish. Been sitting in the house watching Love Island. Or some crap like that. Yep. Time to move. Back to the inlet. The last bit of light before the light totally disappears. The reason I brought this setup now with the mics is a new mic system I've got, and I'm trying it out because next Monday I'm going to visit Llyn Griffiths, and it's the second podcast I've done with him. The first one was a very popular one, so I'm visiting him, but instead of recording it at his home, we're going to the river, and I'm going to have a chat with him at the bankside. So this is a test to see what the quality's like and the settings of the mic, what it picks up and what it doesn't pick up. So now I've come back now to the inlet, and I gotta be honest, I'm feeling lucky now. Try and make every cast count here. Oh, just as I started to wade in now, fish just rose in the calm. I just covered it with my dries now. They didn't turn over perfectly, mind. So I doubt he's going to take those flies. I always expect the unexpected though. Just make out in the darkness now. Nice fish just rose way out, 100 yards out. It's calmed off now. And the midges is just starting to come out to play. There's rain in the air and the light is gone now. So I'm just gonna, one last cast. Nice cast too. Yeah, well, no more fish. Well, it's time to pack in and head back to the car. Been a nice hour or two up to the house. It's been strange. First time I've actually just talked to myself when I'm fishing. Oh! I'm into a fish. Would you believe it? I was just turning my back to walk back to the car, back to the bank, and fish just, I just looked over my shoulder and the flies were making a little bit of a wake. Oh, and he's off. Oh well, never mind. He was going back anyway. Looking at it, he's the same sort of size fish as the first one. That's nice. Nice way to finish off the night.
I run guided intuition days across various venues around South Wales. If interested, give us a shout. Well, until next time, tight lines, and may they always be up in the wave. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure you catch all future episodes by clicking subscribe via the links on my website, castingwithcerijones.com, or via iTunes or your favourite podcatcher. If you like what you've heard on this episode, feel free to drop me a line via my website. Tell me what you've enjoyed, ask a question, or better yet, tell me what you want to hear more of in the future. And if you're looking for additional tips, tackle reviews or venue information, or just want to see what's been hitting the back of my net lately, search up Casting with Ceri Jones on Facebook or follow me on Instagram. And if you still want more, I'm regularly uploading video content onto the Casting with Ceri Jones YouTube channel, so just check that out and subscribe over there too. Wherever you follow, subscribe, comment or message, I look forward to catching up soon for a good fishing chat. Well, I think that's all for now, so until next time, tight lines and don't strike too soon.